Hi everybody, it's Chris here. This is our pond project, and first I want to point to the rock or material we've dug into. This is a seam, solid seam of clay, and if you look around here you can see that is just solid clay. Okay, that's the kind of soil you're looking for, and it depends where you are as to where it will be. If you look up here you'll see where it starts, so there's maybe 2 meters of soil over the top, so you may have to dig down quite deep. But anyway, this is a perfect setup. There's about 350 cubic meters of water will be in here. It's going to start raining in a few days, and it's going to be wet for a week, so maybe in a week this will be full. So now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put down cow poo and lime. Lime to raise the pH level, because we're going to be putting in catfish, and then we're going to test and maybe put some more in. And the cow poo is to start the organic growth of plant life from the fish poo and the cow poo. So we're going to start sprinkling. Lime is really quite cheap here. It's 8,000 kip a kilo. So in US dollars that's about 75 cents. So don't skimp on it. Keep the pH good and high. And I will attempt to break into this bag, because I didn't bring scissors with me. And we start sprinkling out like that, and that's about the level that you want, and that should bring your pH up to the level that you need. But you will need to do a tell you what, let's move around here and I'll sprinkle over there. Okay, there, like how's that? Right, so this should raise the pH to the level required, and we can add to it. As I say, it's very cheap. That'll do for now. It's Chris here again. As you can see, we finished liming. That was 10 kilos of lime, which I have no idea if that's exactly what we need, but we need a pH test on the water before we know what it is. It needs to be between 6 and 9 on the pH scale. So we'll see how it goes, and we may have to add, which is a little more difficult when this is full of water. Now we're going to put the cow poo out. This cow poo is about a year old, been maturing in these bags, so it's nice and dry and mature. So now we're going to start spreading that out, and I'm going to start showing you exactly what we do, and then we're going to stop, and you will see how it looks when it's finished. So again, this is a little bit clumpy, so maybe I should have put it through a crusher or something to break it up. But anyway, just sprinkle it around, pretty much the same amount as the lime, and that will do. Hi everybody, we're going to be building a air forced compost pile, because what happens quite often is you have to aerate the piles, which includes forking it from one pile to another to create more air, and away the pile will go again. So this way, by using forced air, we can avoid that, and it goes much quicker. So you will get your compost pile in probably around 6 weeks. Okay, and what it will mean doing is having a bit of power and a fan and pushing the air through some pipes, and it will aerate, and the microorganisms will do the business. So if you take a look down here, first of all, so we've got 2 piles here that have basically gone cold, and if you look here you can see the white powdery stuff on some here. This is the microorganisms, pretty much at rest right now, because they don't have any moisture. This pile's gone dry, and they don't have a lot of air because the pile has collapsed. But you can see there's a whole lot of pig poop in here, which is what is activating the whole pile. So we're going to take a break here, and I'm now going to move this pile onto that one, set the pipes in place, and then restack the pile on top of the pipes so that we can get the fan going and activate the pile. Okay, now what we're looking at is the little setup that I've made. This is just standard pipe, I think 60mm, something like that. I put plugs on the end, and then just a bit of a connection there with the fan on the end and power. So what happens is that the blower goes and the air comes out through these holes. The hole spacings, you need a minimum of about that much, so that the air gets thoroughly into the pile. No more than that. You can have smaller than that, but no larger than that. So you're looking at about a foot. Okay. So now we're going to stop again, and we're now going to cover this over the holes with this loose material. That stops the soil dropping through the holes and clogging them. Okay. Covered the holes. Probably the best material to use would be rice straw, but that's about a distance over there, so I'm just using this loose material here. So now we're going to put this pile here back on top of there. We're then going to be putting some moisture on the pile, and then we're going to set the fan going. And normally you'd run the fan for about 20 to 30 minutes, a couple of times a day, and that's going to be enough to provide the air flow, oxygen that the microorganisms need to keep the pile hot all the time. Now we've got it all piled on. We're now going to add water, because without water it won't cook. And once we put the water on, we're going to put black plastic on to basically seal, so the black plastic will absorb heat, and when the water vaporizes, it'll hit the black plastic and go back into the pile. That's the theory anyway. So put a good dousing of water, and as with any pile, just basically, you're going to need to put 2 or 3 or 4 of these. We just keep watering till it sort of like leaking out the bottom, and then that's enough. And I think that will do. One last thing I'm going to do now is turn the fan on. I'm going to put some more water in it so you can see it all working. So of course you won't feel anything there. I'm going to turn it off, too much noise. So tomorrow I'm going to come with a thermometer, stick a thermometer in and see how hot it gets. Usually the piles are supposed to be between around 140 and 160. You need a proper probe thermometer, which I don't have, and because I'm where I am, I can't find one to buy. But you need just a probe to put in the pile to get that band. If it goes too hot, the microorganisms get cooked. Too low, and it doesn't start to break down. So I think it's around 140, 170. Okay, so there you go. That's going to do. We'll have one more addition. Will be tomorrow when we'll put the thermometer in there and see how hot it's getting, because right now it's basically cold. Hi everybody, come to look at the pile to see how it's progressing. Now this thermostat is at what you might call air temperature. This is an overcast day, so it's sitting at around 32 degrees. So now what we're going to do is put it in the pile and see if the pile is higher than that, which means that the fan is working. Because the pile was taken to quite cold, so it's actually cooler than the air temperature. So now we're going to go down here and put the pile. This, as I've said, is not the best kind of thermostat to use. You can buy ones that are a probe in Thailand, but this is Laos and I can't find one anywhere, so I have to use this. So the general idea is, and you can see just creeping up a little bit here, we're up to about 34 by the look of it, from 32, so it's up 2 degrees in that short space of time. So we're going to shut the camera off now and then come back and look in about 5 minutes time and see if it's gone up much further. It should get up to about say around 38, 39 as basically a minimum start temperature. 5 minutes, run the fan a little bit. As you can see, it's now up to about 38 degrees, not moving up very quickly. One thing I would say to people is we've used old pig poo, which was already in the 2 piles. I would use fresh, not when I say not completely fresh, but not used, part used, if you know what I mean. In other words, start the pile with some that was ready to go. Okay, so there you have it, 38 degrees, still going up a little bit slowly, and we're going to put the fans on again. The surface temperature is a little bit warm. I think a lot of that is from the plastic, that it's absorbing the heat and also maintaining it's nice and damp. So I think a little bit longer and this will really be a cooking pile. Probably another week, but as you're getting a bit close to the convergence, I probably won't have another viewing here until after. So I would just say to people, if you're interested in this subject, just drop me a line on my email account, which is listed. Hi everybody. Permaculture doesn't talk much about animals, but to me they are a very important link in the how nature works. So here we have 3 mulat pigs, and they're sitting in a movable cage. We call it a pig tractor. So if you come around here, you can see that there's handles on each side, so we can pick it up, and on the back end it's got a pair of wheels. So yeah, strong people pick it up at the front and just drag it along. And as you can see, this is a patch that they've just arrived at, and they're chewing their way through and enjoying themselves. So if you need to weed an area, parking this on the ground is a very effective way of doing it. I'd like to show you over here now. This was a patch where we parked it before, probably, I don't know, must have been 2 months ago now. As you can see, the weeds still really aren't getting anywhere. I'd also like to bring your attention to this. Now, as you can see, I've just dug this out of there. Come on, dog, out of the way. I know you want to be in the camera, but... So, this is the surface. Got a key here. And that's quite hard. So what's happened is the piglets have sort of separated out the softer material, which you can see scrapes off really easy, and this harder material. So what they've done is they've separated out the clay from the sand and the silt. Now I could do a soil test to prove that, but I think you can fairly clearly see there's an absolute demarcation there. Hard, relatively hard speaking, and on the other side soft. Okay, so if you wanted, for argument's sake, to get some clay, then you just park your mulat on the piece of ground and they will do it for you. Another thing you can use mulat for is if you have dug yourself a pond and the pond is not sealing, put the mulat in there in, you know, a bit of a cage, and they will help to separate out a layer of clay. As you can see, that it's almost impervious. I mean, I could put some water on it, but you can see how hard that is. All right, and that will do. Here I'm again, and this time I'm talking about building with cheaply available materials. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what this is eucalypt. There's a lot of eucalypt plantings throughout this part of the world because they grow really fast. For the grower, and I'm a grower, the manufacturers of the pulp, which is where most of it goes, won't pay much money for it, probably about $15 a ton. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, it takes 1.8 cubic meters of this to make a ton. So you can tell you're not going to get much money. So what we're doing here is we're actually using this for construction material. Now, because it's fast-growing hardwood, which is fairly unique in the timber world, it has a tendency to crack, so you can't actually machine it into milled timber. But as posts, it's brilliant. Now, the other thing people worry about, of course, is termites. So what we've done is we've dug a hole with a post hole borer, put a concrete sleeve in, put it in there, put plenty of concrete around, and the termites don't go near it. So have a look here at how this is built. And have a look up here where you see bolts put through, so this beam is bolted to this beam. And here we put screws in which we pre-drilled with a drill, small drill, and then just push these in with a drill. And the same with here. You can see again it's a small piece of eucalypt that's been used. Now inside here you will also notice holding up the roof tiles, which is the one thing you have to buy. You can use tin, but it's very noisy. Is wood from a mill, and that's to get a nice flat surface. So you will need to buy that. And obviously the bolts, screws, and the tiles, everything else is eucalypt. And this was not built by me, this is built by my son-in-law, who I think has done an absolutely terrific job. I can't remember how long it took him, a couple of weeks I suppose. 2-3 weeks, would you say? What? Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. So this to me makes a really nice construction that you could have outside as a nice hut to sit outside. You catch the breeze. So if you want to save money in construction, go find somebody who's growing eucalypts, and I'm sure they will happily sell you a ton of this stuff for just $10, $20.